Smartlead is currently the best cold email platform out there, and in this complete Smartlead tutorial, I'm going to show you how to get the most out of it. By the end, you'll know exactly how to set up and launch a successful cold email campaign. Whether you've never sent a cold email before, or you've tried it and didn't get the results you wanted, this is the only guide you'll need. If you haven't signed up yet, grab a 14-day free trial through the first link in the description. Let's not waste any time and get straight into it. Alright, so when you first log into Smartlead, this is what you'll see. On the left side, you have your main navigation with every Smartlead feature: SmartProspect, email campaigns, master inbox, email accounts, CRM deals, integrations, client access, global analytics, smart delivery, and smart agents. We're going to go through all of these today. The first thing you need to do is connect an email account so that we can actually send emails. To do that, go ahead and click on Email Accounts in the left panel. Before you connect anything though, one important thing to know is that you shouldn't send from your main business domain. Buy a similar looking domain and send from that instead. So if anything goes wrong, your main domain is untouched. Smartlead also has built-in settings that help protect your sender reputation. I'll walk you through those later. When you click on email accounts, you'll see two options: connect your email account, where you bring in mailboxes you've already set up yourself, and SmartSenders. Both have advantages. If you want full ownership and flexibility, setting up your own domains makes sense. But for most people, especially starting out, SmartSenders is the easier route. You pick your domain, and they handle all the setup for you. And unlike buying through somewhere like GoDaddy, where the first year is cheap, but the renewal can be 5 times the price, SmartSenders keeps the pricing consistent. The only downside is you're a bit more tied into Smartlead, but it's a great tool, so for me that's fine. So I'll go ahead and click on Purchase Mailbox. The first thing it asks is whether you want pre-warmed mailboxes or fresh mailboxes. Pre-warmed means the accounts already have sending history, meaning you can launch and scale up faster. Fresh means you're starting from scratch and warming them up yourself. For this tutorial, I'm going with fresh, because with pre-warmed mailboxes, you are limited to a few domains that won't match your brand name. I'll also show you how to properly warm up your inboxes in Smartlead. Next, it asks how many mailboxes you want, and here you'll want to do some math. Each account should be sending between 10 and 30 emails per day. So if you want to send 300 emails a day in total, you need somewhere between 10 and 30 accounts. For this example, I'll go with 5 accounts to start. You can always add more as you scale. You'll also notice the mailbox to domain ratio below. Smartlead defaults to 5 mailboxes per domain, and I'd recommend keeping it at that. Spreading your accounts across multiple domains as you grow means if one domain takes a hit, the others are fine. Personally, I would not go over 5 mailboxes per domain. Next, you can choose your email service provider, Google, Outlook, or SMTP. I'm going with Outlook. But as a beginner, Google is also fine. Step 2 is setting up your domains. Type in your brand name and Smartlead will generate a list of variations. Select the ones you want and continue. Finally, set your mailbox personas. This is just the sender name your recipients will see. Put in a first and last name. It doesn't have to be your actual name. It just needs to look like a real person. James Miller will always outperform Software Scope Outreach. You can apply one persona across all domains or set different ones for each. The last step is the order review. You'll see a forwarding domain field. This is your main business domain, so any replies get forwarded there. Below that, you can see all your generated mailboxes before you commit. Fill in your contact details, check the cost summary, and hit Complete Purchase. For 5 mailboxes across one domain, it comes out to $41 for the first month. After that, it drops to $25 a month once the annual domain fee is out of the way. Once your accounts are set up, you'll see them listed here. For me, it took about 30 minutes for the accounts to connect, but this can take up to 48 hours, although usually for me it's under 1 hour. Now let's warm up these mailboxes. This is honestly the most important part of this entire setup to get right, because if you don't, your emails go straight to spam. To set it up, select all of your email accounts, then click Choose All and Apply Selection. Now go ahead and click Bulk Update at the top, which will take you to the warm-up settings. You'll see this checkbox at the top. Go ahead and turn that on. Then Smartlead starts sending emails from your account to other accounts in their warm-up pool, those accounts reply, and your account replies back. But we do need to configure some settings to optimize the warm-up process. For maximum warm-up emails per day, set it to around 23, and for daily ramp-up, set this to somewhere between 3 and 5. That means each day Smartlead adds that many more warm-up emails until it reaches the maximum number of warm-up emails per day. So you're gradually building up over time. And randomize the amount of emails per day with around 6 below the maximum amount, so that will average 20 emails per day. Then reply rate is the percentage of your warm-up emails that get replied to. This is the most important setting on this page, because it signals to Google or Microsoft that your account is legitimate. Set it to 20%. That's the sweet spot since it keeps it looking realistic. The custom warm-up identifier tag makes it easy to see if a reply is from a warm-up or campaign email. You do want to change this regularly. If every warm-up email you send contains the exact same tag, email providers can eventually identify it as a warm-up pattern. Mix it up every couple of weeks. Also turn on auto-adjust warm-up to sending ratio. This reduces the number of warm-up emails we send when we start sending cold emails, and leave the option to send warm-up emails only on weekdays turned off. Sending 7 days a week consistently gets better results. Now, how long do you need to warm up? I recommend a minimum of 14 days. If you need to start sending emails sooner, you can always buy a pre-warmed mailbox until these ones are warmed up. After those 14 days, keep warm-up running. Even when your accounts are actively sending campaigns, leave it on. It keeps your sender reputation healthy in the background while you are sending your normal campaigns. After 14 days, you can go to the Overview tab inside any email account. You want to see the inbox landing rate at 97% or higher and saved from spam at under 3%. If those numbers are off, wait. Don't launch until they're at those levels. While you're in the General tab, there are 2 more things to set up here. First, the custom tracking domain. You'll see a field for this. Go ahead and turn it on. It routes any links you send through a domain you control, and it can meaningfully improve your deliverability. Second, the minimum time gap. This is the time gap between emails sent from this account. Set it to at least 20 minutes. A real person sending emails isn't firing one off every 60 seconds. The more human the pattern looks, the better. Traditionally, you'd build your lead list in a separate tool like Apollo or Clay and upload it here as a CSV. Those are still solid options, especially if you need advanced filters like buying intent signals. But last November, Smartlead released their own built-in prospecting tool called SmartProspect, and for most people it's really all you need. You get a set amount of credits per month included in your plan, and each credit unlocks 1 verified contact. Unlike Apollo or Clay, where you're paying for an additional subscription, here it's just included. The filtering covers all the fundamentals: country, company size, headcount, job title, industry, and the data quality is genuinely good. So let's say I'm targeting HR directors in the UK. I'll filter by job title, seniority level, and country. And before you move on, go ahead and save the search. Then next time you want to top up this campaign, you can simply apply these filters in one click. SmartProspect will now show you every matching contact in the database. Click the checkbox at the top, select the number of leads you want to start with. I recommend starting with around 100 to test your campaign before scaling, and hit Find Emails. SmartProspect then runs each one through its verification waterfall. You will then get your list of verified leads. Go ahead and select them and click Push Leads to Campaign, then click Create New Campaign and give it a recognizable name. That takes us to the import settings. Keep import leads even if in global block list off. Also make sure import leads even if in unsubscribed list and import leads even if bounced across user base are turned off. Finally, I would enable ignore leads that exist in another campaign, since you don't want to send 2 separate campaigns to the same person at the same time. Finally, click Create and Add to Campaign. That takes you to the campaign analytics. To start building the campaign itself, click on Email Campaigns in the left menu and open the campaign we just created. That moves us onto the Sequence tab. This is where you write your emails. For a beginner setup, I'd go with 3 emails. Your initial outreach, a first follow-up after 3 to 4 days, and a final follow-up after another 3 to 4 days. After that, move on to fresh leads, rather than continuing to chase someone who hasn't responded. You can also add manual task steps between your emails. So if you want to layer in some LinkedIn activity, you can add a step that reminds you to send a connection request or a DM at a specific point in the sequence. It keeps everything in one place rather than tracking it separately. For the structure of each email, keep it to 3 short paragraphs. First, who you are and what you do. Second, the specific problem you help with and how you solve it. Make this relevant to the person you're contacting. Third, a direct ask for time. That third part matters more than most people think. Don't write, would you be interested in a chat, or is this worth exploring? Those are passive and they invite people to say no before they've really thought about it. Instead, write something like, would you be able to hop on a quick call this week? You're assuming the meeting is a logical next step rather than asking permission for it. That small shift makes a real difference to how many people reply. Keep each email to 4 to 6 sentences total. People are reading on their phones. If they have to scroll through your cold email, you've already lost them. Now, Spintax. This is important for deliverability. Spintax means adding multiple variations of the same word or phrase inside curly brackets, separated by a vertical line, like hey, hi, hello. Every time Smartlead sends an email, it picks one of those options at random. The reason you want this is that if Google or Microsoft sees the exact same email being sent hundreds of times from different accounts, they'll flag the template itself. Spintax creates enough variation that each email looks unique. Use it in places like greetings, parts of phrases, your call to action, and your sign-off. You just saw me do it in the sequence above, but a quicker way is to paste your script into ChatGPT and ask it to add Spintax throughout. It'll do it in a few seconds. But Spintax only works at the word and phrase level. For proper testing, you also want to create completely different variants. Different angles, different tones, maybe a different opening altogether. Smartlead lets you add multiple versions of each email in your sequence and splits the volume between them automatically. Once you have enough data, you'll see which one is getting more replies and cut the others. Spintax protects your deliverability. Variants are how you actually improve the campaign over time. You want both. For subject lines, keep them short and simple. Don't try to trick someone into opening your email. If your subject line promises something your email doesn't deliver, you'll get opens but no replies, and people are more likely to mark you as spam. For follow-ups, leave the subject line blank. Smartlead will send them as a reply in the same thread, which is what you want. Once you've written your sequence, click the settings icon in the top right. This is what most beginners skip. Let's go through the important ones. First, under Stop Sending Messages. Keep this set to replies to a message. You want the sequence to stop the moment someone responds. You don't want to keep emailing someone who's already replied. For email variant and Spintax distribution mode, set this to randomized. That means Smartlead picks randomly between your variants and Spintax options on each send, which creates more natural variation across your campaign. Turn on Optimize Email Delivery. This sends your emails in plain text without HTML. Once you tick that, you'll also see an option for Force Plain Text as content type. Turn that on too. Together, they make sure your email is sent as pure plain text with no HTML anywhere, which is exactly what you want. It looks like what a real person would type and send, and your deliverability will be better for it. Under What Shouldn't We Track? Turn on Don't Track Email Opens and Don't Track Link Clicks, both of them. Open tracking embeds a tiny invisible image in your email, which breaks plain text, and link click tracking replaces your links with redirect URLs that spam filters don't like. Neither metric is what you should be focused on anyway. Replies are. So turn both off. Turn on Enhanced Email Sending and Delivery. This tells Smartlead to automatically match your sending mailbox to your lead's email provider. So Gmail leads get emailed from Gmail accounts and Outlook leads from Outlook accounts. If you only have one type of mailbox connected, it won't make much difference. But if you have both, it's a meaningful deliverability boost. Turn on Company Level Auto Pause. If someone at a company replies, this stops Smartlead from continuing to email other people at the same company. That's exactly the kind of thing that gets you flagged if you ignore it. turn on high bounce rate auto protection. This automatically pauses your campaign if your bounce rate spikes, which protects your sender reputation before any real damage is done. It's one of those settings that you hope you never need, but will be very glad you turned on. For AI lead categorization, switch this to IntelliCategorize replies using Smartlead's AI. When replies come in, Smartlead will automatically tag each one as interested, not interested, out of office, and so on. This all feeds into the master inbox, which is one of the most useful features in Smartlead. We'll cover that in the next section. For many of these settings, you do need a pro plan, though you can use these features during the free trial. Hit Save General Settings, then move to the Email Accounts tab. This is where you assign which mailboxes will actually send this campaign. You'll see the accounts we set up earlier. Go ahead and select the ones you want to use. If you're just starting out, add all of them. Smartlead will rotate the sending across each account automatically, which keeps the volume per mailbox low and your deliverability healthy. Next, you can schedule this campaign. So you can select your time zone, the sending days, time period, and campaign start date. I want my email accounts to have some time to warm up, so I'll set the start date to 2 weeks from today. Now open the settings. We already did the general and email account settings, and the webhooks tab you can skip for now. That's for connecting Smartlead to external tools and is more relevant once you're further along. The reply agent tab is worth a quick mention. This is Smartlead's AI that drafts replies to incoming responses for you. Nothing gets sent without your approval, you just review and send. Since we haven't sent our first email yet, don't worry about this now. But once replies start coming in, this is 100% worth setting up. You can personalize the tone and train it to sound like you, which at any kind of volume saves a serious amount of time. Finally, click Save and Next. And here you can review all emails that will be sent to all of your leads and even make changes to personalize each email even more. When you're happy with the emails, click Schedule Campaign. Once your campaign is live and emails are going out, replies will start coming into your master inbox. Go ahead and click on that in the left panel. Even if you haven't gotten a single reply yet, this section is worth understanding, because how you manage replies is what actually turns this into booked meetings. Since we're sending from multiple email accounts, replies are coming into several different inboxes at once. The master inbox pulls all of them together into one place, so you're not logging in and out of different accounts trying to keep track of everything. The two tabs you'll live in are Unread Replies, which is every response you haven't dealt with yet, and Drafts by Agent, which is where the AI reply drafts will appear once you set that up. Click into any reply and you'll see the full email thread. From here you can reply directly, add a task or reminder, or push the lead into a subsequence. If you are on the Pro plan or higher, the categories interested, not interested, out of office, and so on are assigned automatically by the AI we set up in the campaign settings, so you don't need to do this manually. If it ever gets one wrong, you can change it, but for the most part it handles it for you. If you are on the base plan, you need to assign it manually. Make sure to check your master inbox frequently. Getting back to a lead within 10 minutes of a positive reply makes a significant difference to whether it actually becomes a booked call. Keep a close eye on 3 categories in particular: interested, information request, and meeting request. These are your highest value contacts. Even if they didn't book a call straight away, they showed a signal. When you need to fill your pipeline quickly, start here. And if someone replied positively but went quiet after you pitched a call, you can add them to a subsequence. That's a smaller follow-up campaign that keeps reaching out to them automatically. You'll find that option inside the leads profile in your inbox. If you open the CRM tab in the left panel, you get a full pipeline view of all your leads. By default, you'll see new lead, email sent, and reply received as stages, and leads move between them automatically based on how they respond. You can add your own columns too and map them to reply categories. So for example, anyone who left a positive reply, being the categories information request, interested, or meeting request, moves into a dedicated stage. It's not going to replace a full CRM like HubSpot, but for keeping track of where your leads are in the process, it's genuinely useful and it's already connected to your outreach. So we've now set up our email accounts, warmed them up, built our lead list, written our sequence, and configured our campaign settings. That's a solid foundation, but none of it means anything if you don't know how to read what's happening and make adjustments. That's where analytics comes in. Go ahead and click on the Analytics tab inside any campaign, or go to Global Analytics on the left to see everything at once. Before anything else though, don't start drawing conclusions until you've contacted at least 500 leads and at least 7 days have passed. Before that, you don't have enough data to make any reliable changes. The 3 numbers you want to focus on are reply rate, positive reply rate, and bounce rate. Reply rate tells you whether people are responding at all. A healthy campaign should be hitting somewhere between 4 and 8%. If you're consistently under 3%, something is wrong. Either your deliverability, your script, or your list. Positive reply rate tells you how many of those replies showed genuine interest. This is the number that tells you whether your offer is actually landing. Bounce rate tells you whether your list is clean. Try to keep this below 5 to 7%. If it goes above 10%, pause and check your list. Don't worry too much about open rate. We turned off open tracking for deliverability reasons, and chasing a higher open rate usually leads to misleading subject lines that generate more spam complaints, not more meetings. Also, go ahead and check global analytics on a weekly basis. It shows your total sending volume across all campaigns and gives a high-level overview of how everything is performing. Smartlead also has a feature called Smart Delivery, and it's worth running before you launch any new campaign going forward. Go ahead and click on Smart Delivery in the left panel. You'll see 2 options, a manual test for a one-time check and an automatic test that runs on an ongoing basis and sends you placement reports over time. For now, run a manual test. Give it a name, select the campaign you want to test, and choose which email accounts to use. Smartlead will send your emails to their own pool of test accounts and tell you whether they're landing in the primary inbox, promotions, or spam. If your emails are going to spam before you've even launched, you want to know that now, not after you've burned through your lead list. One thing to keep in mind: the results from a seed list test don't always match exactly what happens in real campaigns. Smartlead's test accounts behave differently to real prospects. But if your emails are clearly going to spam in the test, they're almost certainly doing the same thing in real life. Use it as an early check, not an absolute answer. If you're connecting Smartlead to other tools, head to the Integrations tab. You'll find native connections for HubSpot, Clay, ListKit, and a few others. If you're already using Clay for lead enrichment or personalization, you can connect it directly here. Just keep in mind that's an additional Clay subscription on top of Smartlead. Then, if you're running campaigns for clients, the Client Access tab lets you give each client view-only access to their own dashboard in one click. They can check in on their own results without you having to pull reports manually, which saves a lot of back and forth. And Smart Agents lets you build AI workflows that automate things like syncing interested leads to your CRM, monitoring stale replies, or running daily lead enrichment through Apollo or Clay. And you will also find some more integrations here. These features are more advanced, but they're super helpful if you've got all the basics of the platform down. And that concludes this Smartlead tutorial for beginners. You now have everything you need to start using Smartlead successfully. If you haven't signed up yet, you can grab a 14-day free trial through the first link in the description. If this helped you out, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. With that being said, I'll see you in the next one.